I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the hockeythinktank.com, a website for all players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We have one of Jeffrey Jehu Tatman Lavecchio and myself's best buddies in the entire world back for round two. Munce, I think you were on like what, 4 years ago?
I was the guinea pig for you guys when you guys were trying to figure this out. And you're like, we don't have any guests yet. Do you want to come on? I'm like, I don't know who's gonna listen, but yeah, sure. I'll be one of your first guests. So
and you slayed it.
And he
since it. So yeah, you must be reaching into the well if you're bringing me back after some of these guests you've had. So
I like it. But we got our man Sean Muncy back on the podcast for round two. Munce's background: grew up besties with Jeff down in St. Louis, part of the 1985 St. Louis group, one of the first to bring St. Louis hockey kind of out of the woodwork. First, what'd you guys have, like 6 or 7 kids go on to play college hockey?
I thought it was 8 or 9.
Yeah, we had
at
least 7, but then we had a couple.
I mean, for St. Louis.
Well, we had a couple guys like Effinger that didn't start until 16s, and then he went to, Miami, Ohio. So I think all in all, from that 85 group, we had 8 or 9.
Nice.
Yeah.
Still couldn't win against CY without a goalie though. So it's
no, you guys. I mean, that's why we got good at all, is because we had to witness you guys stretching and doing plyos in the stands because we weren't big enough of a challenge for you. So me and Vechs, you guys pull your goalie and we still couldn't score. And then half your team is doing leg lunges in the stands, and then you'd come on and pump us 10-0. So that caught up to us, and then, me and Vechs, we started growing and you stayed the same size, and here we are.
That's a fact.
Re-roasted.
That's a fact.
St. Louis roast.
Anyway, so back to you, Munce. Grew up in St. Louis, played your junior hockey in the USHL, went on to play college hockey at Brown University, couple years of professional hockey, and now you are a financial wealth advisor. Would that be the correct job title there?
Is a good resume builder right there. Yep, that's a good synopsis.
All right, perfect. And Munce's going to be a big part of what we're doing moving forward. We got a lot of fun things planned with him. As you know, who listens to us, we're really, really big on life skills. Really, really big on life skills, not just obviously talking about hockey, but how you can translate what you do in hockey into life, and how you can translate what you do in life into becoming a better hockey player. And as a financial advisor, money is something that we don't know much about. And we're going to have Munce to tell some stories about some stuff. I have some funny ones myself because I literally know nothing about money, knew nothing about money, a little bit better now. But anyway.
What do you know about money? I like it. I want some more of it. I know I need it. I keep some in a jar above my fridge.
That's where you come in, sir. Yeah.
Mr. Robbie Hart.
Yeah.
Mr. Julia Gulia.
Well, we'll talk all about that because, it's a perfect fit for this platform because, like you said, everything's about life skills here, and money is no different. Like, personal finance is just a life skill that, everyone needs to learn, but especially with this platform, youth hockey players should take control of that and understand that it's a soft skill. It's one of those skills more like, networking is a skill, or public speaking is a skill, or leadership is a skill, or parenting is a skill. Lavecchio, you'll find out real quickly that that's a skill. It's not a science.
Hey, can we just stop right there really quick? We're gonna get into some of the money stuff, but Munce, I cannot wait for my man over here to become a dad.
Oh my God.
And obviously I can't wait because him and Kylie are going to kill it. They're going to be great parents.
The world needs Lavecchio and Kylie to have kids. The world needs it.
I cannannot wait.
She's going to be an unreal dad. She's going to be an amazing mom. And it's just, I'm so happy for these beauties.
Absolutely. But for close to 7 years now, Paige will be 7 here next month. And for 5 of those years, 5.5 probably now that we've been doing this podcast, like I've been coming on and sharing war stories about being a dad. Mm-hmm. And Vechs just kind of sitting there like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, here's a
I
war
can't
story.
Wait.
Just the fact that we're even, like, I'm in my office at 7 p.m. Central because I can't be doing this at home because I have the open floor plan and I have Callie and Sully after their bath just absolutely on my lap right now and destroying me. And I thank you guys though, because you saved me from the most stressful part of the day, which is bath and bed. Toph, you can relate to that. Oh, yeah. It is the most, because they're overtired and you just want to get it over with and you're tired and they don't just go to sleep and
go to sleep. I will put you to sleep.
Or I will put you to sleep. So I can't wait for Vechs to have that part of parenting as well.
Yes. Actually, you know what, Munce, now that you say that, it's been very kind of funny because we moved from Ann Arbor in Michigan, which is Eastern time, and we have moved to Chicago, which is Central time. So the podcast time where we record went from 8 p.m. to 7 p.m. So yeah. Our kids go to bed like around 7:30, 8 o'clock, right around that. So I was, involved in bedtime on Tuesdays living in Michigan. But now that we're 7, I got a day off. I get a day off from bath and bedtime. So
you got a day off. Your wife's counting those days off. Let me tell you.
Yeah, maybe. You might be right. But anyway, so back to it. So we have some fun stuff. So Munce has like a really awesome hockey career and want to get into that. We're going to get into the life skills and talking about money a little bit and just some really kind of, we always try to give people with this podcast, whether it's coaches, whether it's parents, whether it's players, whoever, like tangible things that you can use in your life that can help you be a better version of you. And getting the opportunity to have Munce as a part of what we're doing now, particularly when it comes to money, because at the end of the day, like, and Munce, like working with NHL guys, like, it's a lot shorter of a shelf life than most of them think. And when it comes to taxes and all these different things, like you might not be making as much money as you think that you're getting when you sign your contract and things like that. And we're going to get into that. But first, we do have some people to thank beforehand, people that, from a financial standpoint, help us out a little bit as well. And so first, want to thank Gel Sticks, our title sponsor. Go to GELSTX.com and get a discount with a weighted training stick by using the coupon code ThinkTank, one word. That's GELSTX.com. Jeff, go ahead.
For those of you not watching the YouTube vid, covering my mouth or covering my face when I chew. Munce has misophonia. Hopefully we get into that later. But anyways, want to thank Train Heroic. Really cool. Actually put up some posts a few days prior to when this episode will release on Monday that I'm releasing the prep phase for 2024 offseason via Train Heroic and the preteen athlete, like an 8-week program. Then I'll have multiple of those throughout the summer. And I've had tons of teams and organizations reach out to me. Guys, I give massive discounts to teams and organizations. The reason I do the online training is to offer people who couldn't get to the gym, can't afford a gym, can't afford a legitimate coach to work with me for a super, super cheap price. Videos of everything. Train Heroic has allowed me to do that and work with so many players all over the world, from the professional levels all the way down to kids. So Train Heroic, can't thank them enough. Also want to thank Cure Nutrition. Cure Nutrition is a CBD company I'm with. I take CBD twice a day, every single day. I've been doing that since my last season playing, 2017, 2018 season. I've been with Cure Nutrition for well over a year. My wife was with them for a year before that, and I was stealing all of her products, which is why I reached out to them and created a relationship, because I really, truly believe in the power of plant medicine and CBD. So if anybody has any questions on that, please, seriously, reach out to me. Ask away. Not a burden. I want to help. Or you can go to curenutrition.com and use my discount GMBM.
Also want to thank Helios Hockey. Thank you, mute button. Unbelievable product, guys. Unbelievable product. It is a sensor that you put in your shoulder pads that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback right after you get off the ice. So imagine hopping off the ice after a game and having your shifts cut up for you already that you are able to watch. And so it syncs up with whatever video you're using, whether it's a camera, whether it's your iPhone, iPad. It even hooks up with LiveBarn, and with it being a motion sensor, when you're moving, it's got you going. And so, dude, just absolute game changer. I don't know what Vechs is doing right now, but it's making me.
He's eating.
Anyways, Helios Hockey. So they give you real-time feedback. Get your shifts cut up for you right away. Also. They give you a hustle score, which is awesome for the younger kids. It helps with your stride mechanics, which is huge. Skating, big part of the game today. So go to helioshockey.com, use the coupon code Think Tank, and all new Helios members will get 20% off their initial 12-month membership. And that sensor that I talked about in your shoulder pad, you will get that for free. Also have a new sponsor in NHL Sense Arena. This, guys, it's hard to train the right way, particularly on the ice with how expensive ice costs are and just the rigmarole of getting out to the arena and things like that. And, this is a product that can help you train your hockey sense, help you train your hockey IQ from home. It's a virtual reality training game. They have over 100 drills, whether you are a player or whether you are a goalie, that can help you work on your training and your hockey IQ. And you can do this anytime. You can do this anywhere. And we have created a partnership with them. And we are really, really looking forward to getting this out there. Again, new product, but as you guys all know, we're not going to put products out there that we don't believe in, that we don't believe can provide immense value to people. And a lot of people today are visual learners, and having the opportunity to do this and create hockey situations from a virtual reality standpoint, not having to be on the ice. So cool. So in our partnership with them, we also have a promo code. By using the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, you will get $50 off your annual plan with NHL Sense Arena. So go to hockey.sensearena.com today and order your VR set. This thing is really, really cool. Vechs is going to be getting one here in the mail this week, and he's going to be using it, and he'll be able to demo and detail kind of the what it's all about. So really excited to hear Vechs get a little bit better with his hockey IQ, hockey sense, even though that was a strength of his as a player. And so why are you looking at me like that?
Well, I learned a lot over the years, especially my last couple years pro. But I think on this panel right here, I'm by far the dumbest hockey player on the panel tonight. No doubt about that.
Okay. Further than I did.
Yeah. Also want to thank our guys at icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all of your coaching education needs. Phenomenal product, guys. They got thousands of drills on their site, whiteboard explanations from some incredible hockey minds, the ability to go in there and draw up your drills, send them out to your players before practice so they have them, create PDFs. You can even print them out and tape them up on the boards before practice. I actually got a DM on Instagram today because I threw a post up the other day. We do our coaches call with all of the coaches that do our organization blueprint with us every Tuesday. And I was demoing a drill on icehockeysystems.com. And there was a guy that DM'd me that was like, this changed my season. They went from last place to third place.
What was the drill?
from last year, not because of the drill, because they got ice hockey systems.
That's a hell of a
Oh, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
This is the
they did this
greatest
drill every day.
the drill.
Yeah. No, he got ice hockey systems, so he was able to be more organized and, be a better coach by having these resources to be able to go to learn things, and then also be organized in his drill drawing and sending them out to his players and stuff. So it's a resource that can really, really help coaches out there. We have partnered with them to do an associations platform where you can get this for every single coach within your organization. And so for the hockey directors out there, think about drawing or having all of these coaches in your organization drawing up their drills, putting together their practice plans, and then creating a library for all of your coaches where they can just go to hop on and grab a practice plan from one of your top coaches in the organization. Or maybe you need a drill in a certain area, and this one person thinks about defense or defensive structure, and they're a whiz at it. So hey, I need a defensive structure drill. Boom, here we go. I need a small area game. This person really teaches creativity. Boom, here we go. Grab it from them. So it's such a valuable resource, such a valuable tool. So go to icehockeysystems.com today and look up the associations platform. Again, get this for all the coaches in your organization, not just the coaches, but the parents as well. Because if you sign up for the associations platform, you get access to the Hockey Think Tank Parent Survival Guide. It's the only place you can find it in the world is housed on Ice Hockey Systems website. So go ahead there today. And lastly, we want to thank you, our listeners. We love you guys so much. We appreciate every like, every comment, every download. We just appreciate you spreading the word about what we're doing. And we'd like to think we're creating some positive impact in the hockey world. And with you guys sharing us to your groups, you're spreading our message out there and hopefully providing value to more people. So anytime you can subscribe or like or share what we do, it just helps us spread the word. So we really, really appreciate you. We love you. You guys are going to love this conversation that we haven't done yet with our man Sean Muncy. So Munce, you ready to rock and roll, brother?
Ready, big dog?
We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. If you go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you can see all the available lines and all the available odds for all NHL games going on. That's right. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with the code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. All right. So first, before we get into the meat of what I want to talk about with you here today, it's been a minute since you've been on the podcast, but we do start all of our episodes by asking our guests how you fell in love with this great game of hockey. So grew up in St. Louis, obviously fell in love with it, still in it today, working with hockey players as a financial advisor, also helping out St. Louis youth program, the Junior Blues. But what caused your passion for the game, my man?
Yeah, I think it all stems back, like many of us. Like my dad did not play hockey. If you've seen G Money try to be an athlete, you would understand that. But he was a big hockey fan. He moved up from Texas to become a physician up here. And in 1979, he got season tickets to the Blues at the old arena. So he used to, at one point he had 5 season tickets. So I was the baby of the family. So he would bring my mom, my brother, my sister, and me, because he said it was cheaper than getting a babysitter. So I was going to Blues games since I was like, a baby, like 8 months old. And then finally, when I turned 5, my parents let me play hockey. So I started with the Creve Coeur Comets, and at age 6, met Jehu Jeffrey Lavecchio. I was the goalie, and he was the sniper. His dad was the coach, though, so there's something there. I'm not sure,
Little favoritism maybe from Uncle Phil or what?
It was the opposite. That guy always sat me. Always. He went the opposite way. Which
he loved everyone but you. Yeah, he was like, so. But yeah, just started love the game. Started playing at age 5, and we were so active, Vechs. I mean, we were like roller hockey at any time, ice hockey, just anything we could possibly do. We were always, playing. So, and then I was fortunate enough, me and Vechs and some of our good buddies, Andy Meyer, Paul Stasny, we all played AAA Blues together. So we were that infamous 85 team, rags to riches, in the city. And so I played there pretty much until I guess U16, after U16 level, and then we all ended up in the USHL. Then played D1 at Brown University, and then 5 years pro with roommate Toph Scott for 2 of those years, and it was absolutely hilarious. And and then in 2014, I retired from hockey at age 29, and quickly got a job at Merrill Lynch and became a financial advisor. I became a certified financial planner in 2020. Actually, 4 years to the day. I'll never forget it because the next day they shut down the testing center because of COVID. So I took it, and thank God I passed it, because I would have had to wait a whole year to have that thing go over my head. So it was 4 years to the day. But like me and Vechs, we won't forget that time in our lives, the 2020, that's for sure. And then, so been at UBS since 2019, and love what I do, love what I get to do with youth hockey. And I think it's a good fit that I can, kind of expand my role helping you guys with your platform and doing, some basics of, financial foundation, personal finance for and life skills for anyone that is part of the Hockey Think Tank.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. And I want to get into that, but it's a crazy time of year right now in youth hockey. It's kind of like that mixture in between, hey, it's playoffs and some of our seasons are ending, but also tryouts are like tomorrow as well for so many people.
What does Nevada call it? Silly season?
Silly season. Yep. Yeah. It is full on silly season. And the first question I wanted to ask you was I felt like when we were growing up and I got the chance to play with you guys a little bit in summer tournaments and stuff, but we always had so much fun. We always had so much fun playing hockey, and it was never a chore. It was never a job. And I feel like kids today, it's just different them growing up with so much more pressure, and it's more of a job, and it's like a duty almost to kind of be the best that you can be every day. And man, I kind of I feel for these kids, because I feel like my love for the game was at this time of year, obviously playoffs and stuff was always fun, but then you kind of threw the bag away, and then you missed hockey. You played a little spring league. You did a couple fun camps. I would come down, or not necessarily come down to St. Louis. We didn't come down to St. Louis at that time. Nobody did. You guys were always coming up north by us, but we would go to camps together, clinics. We did our USA festival. It was always just fun at the end of the day. And so you're inundated in youth hockey, you're coaching it, you've been a part of it for a lot of years now. Is that a pretty fair sentiment? I think maybe we had a little bit more fun than the kids did nowadays. And how can we get back to that?
Yeah, well, silly season didn't exist back then. It's sad that it even does. I mean, when we were AAA Blues and it was February and March, we knew next year we were going to be AAA Blues. There was it's not like we're oh, well, what's Little Caesars thinking? I didn't know anybody, you didn't have social media. You didn't know coaches. You're in your little bubble. And I think that protected us. I think also our parents did a good job protecting us. And I think parents do a great job today as well, as much as they can. But I just think the sport has become so universal. Knowledge has not knowledge, information has become universal. That it makes
big difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. So I think people are always striving, grass is always greener, weighing their options. What are you doing? Having little secrets is Johnny thinking about doing this? What's going on? And it's always amazing because silly season happens, at least in my experience with AAA Blues, it's always, you had the silly season and then you're like jockeying who's going to be coach, who's going to be this. And then I was always assistant coach. So it was great. Sorry, Cappy, like the poor guy had to deal with the brunt of it. Like, so I could just sit back and kind of listen to it. But all of these jockeying things like went on. But then when tryouts came and then the team in September or August was like this, it's like who you would think would be on the team. You might have one or two transfers here or there, but the core group was usually there. So you just wonder, like, I think it's just because information's out there. So people feel they have to do something. And we didn't have to worry about that because we didn't have access to that information because we didn't know, like, other than coming up and seeing you and getting pumped 10-0, we had no idea the lay of the land of Chicago. I only knew you because you're Lavecchio's cousin, so we didn't know anyone from Michigan other than Josh Skiba and Hinsick because they were just absolute legends. I can't believe they're not in the Hall of Fame. That's how. That's the difference of like youth hockey and the pyramid getting smaller. And they both had great careers, by the way. But
great careers. That's the only guys we heard of.
That's all we do. Like
those two guys.
These two are unbelievable. Everyone else is terrible. And where does he work? Like that.
That's so true. Actually, so funny that you mentioned those two names. So Hensick, I saw quite a bit last year up in Ann Arbor. So they live in Michigan, and he's obviously an alum. And his little guy plays on the same team as Nar's little guy. So that. Quite the coaching staff they have and they got a couple other like Michigan alums. David Moss played in the NHL, like all coaching the same team. Hilarious. And then actually Josh Skiba, coincidentally enough, legitimately texted me today. He texted me today. Yeah. Hilarious. Like no joke. I swear. So he's the head coach. He's the head coach at Union for Union's women hockey. And so he contacted me about potentially doing some team building with his team. So he's out recruiting right now, but that's just so funny that you mentioned those names. But you are so right. Those were the guys. Like those were the guys. And also like Zach Parisi. Zach Parisi was at Shattuck. And like you never played against Shattuck, but you heard about Zach Parisi somehow. It wasn't like he had a highlight tape on YouTube that you could just go see Zach Parisi. You just heard that he was like the man out at Shattuck, and like Josh Hennessy was the man out in Boston. And then all of a sudden we become like 15, 16 years old. We go to these select festivals in Buffalo, or they're in Buffalo now, but they used to be in St. Cloud. And then you'd see these people for the first time, because like we never traveled anywhere really outside of like Toronto and Detroit. And that's pretty much
we did.
Yeah, I don't know.
We did.
Me and Vechs, we were the AAA Blues, and we were in a league called the Michigan National.
So were we. We were in the Michigan National Hockey League too.
So we'd go up, get pumped, come back, and get pumped. That is what it is.
I think all that and like how those guys were on a pedestal, probably because they were in like the USA Hockey magazine or whatever, that junior hockey paper that used to come out like once a month in the USHL that we had. Like that's probably where we saw them. And I think that part of the whole silly season is access. We have more, like you said, we have more access to information. There's access to social media. So you got people on there doing God knows what, except for me. Follow me, blue check mark. But there's also way more access to ice. There's more access to coaches getting on the ice. Like we had like 2 rinks in town that like you could skate at. Queenie always took their ice out. Like, Creve Coeur would go down for a bit. Chesterfield always took their 3rd sheet out. And one of the sheets was terrible because it had bubbles all over it. Like we had way less access. Now there's so much access that I think it creates this like, oh, well, let's get on the ice more since there's, you could go to any of these rinks with any of these skills coaches, quote unquote. And you just like, because of that access, people feel like they need to be doing more.
Not giving more.
No, you got to give more.
To be more.
That's right.
Hey, actually, so coincidentally enough, so we had every Tuesday, I think I mentioned this already, but every Tuesday, all of the youth organizations that we work with that do our organization blueprint, all of their coaches have access to a Tuesday afternoon call where we'll pick a specific topic and we'll kind of talk about it. We've done everything. Like the last 2 weeks we did like the modern ozone. And then the week after that, we did how to defend the modern ozone. But today, like the coaches, because a lot of them are youth hockey coaches, they wanted to talk about tryouts because it's tryout season and kind of collaborate with each other. Hey, what do you guys do? What are some different procedures that you guys do to help, run an efficient tryout? Because tryout season for coaches and for hockey directors is probably the most stressful time of the year. Not only just executing the tryout, but also dealing with the blowback when people don't make teams and all that kind of stuff. And I heard a word, Vechs, both of you guys are going to love this word, but I heard a word that I am going to use constantly now. Like it's going to be in my vocabulary so much when I talk about hockey and I talk about particularly youth hockey development. And that word is leapfrog. The word is leapfrog. And when we were talking about it, one of the coaches brought it up and it made so much sense because just for kind of like perspective. So when I'm recruiting in college, right? When I'm recruiting in college, what I tell a lot of the kids nowadays and a lot of the coaches that I talk to is like our best recruits when you're a college hockey coach aren't necessarily your freshmen. Our best recruits is our sophomores and how much better they got from their freshman year to their sophomore year, and our juniors from how much better they got from their sophomore year to their junior year and then their senior year. And so like in the recruiting process, we want to recruit kids that want to get better, that are coachable, that work hard, that have an effort, that practice means something to them. Because if we get a kid as a freshman and that kid doesn't have a great work ethic and he's the same as a senior as he was as a freshman, that's a terrible recruit. That's a terrible recruit because he didn't get better over 4 years and you need your seniors to win. Now, if you have another kid who is very coachable and that kid comes in as a freshman and he's infinitely better as a senior, like that's an awesome recruit. That's an awesome recruit at the end of the day. And so talking about it today from a tryout standpoint, we were talking about kind of like how to evaluate players. And we were talking about kind of like using the difference and using both of like, what the previous coach had to say or the previous coaches had to say about that player and then how they play at tryouts and kind of using both of those to make an educated decision on who makes the team and who doesn't make the team. And so we talked about when you're talking to the previous coach, who on that team maybe didn't have as much skill as maybe some of the other, but leapfrogged other kids because of their work ethic, right? So maybe from a skill standpoint at the beginning of the year, they were number 7 on their team. But towards the end of the year, they leapfrog 6, 5, and 4 because of their work ethic. And now they're the 3rd most skilled player on the team. And so like, I just think that that's like a really, really cool analogy to use as it relates to like putting in the effort and the internal motivation and desire to get better. Because at the end of the day, we say this all the time, like the best players at 12 aren't going to be the best players at 15. And the best players at 15 aren't going to be the best players at 20. Why? Because the kids who are lazy or the kids that get complacent get leapfrogged by the kids that work. And so I just thought it was a really cool, I don't know what you guys think about that, but like, I'm going to use that a lot. Like maybe you're not the most skilled player on your team, but with your work ethic, you can leapfrog the people and outcompete and outwork them and be better than them from 12 to 13 and then 13 to 14, 14 to 15 and all the way up.
Yeah, there's something to be said about guys that have had to earn it and battle through adversity, because as you move up the pyramid, it's always going to be harder. You're always going to be, you get to a certain level. Everyone can skate 100 miles an hour. Everyone can shoot. Everyone can, mostly think the game. So you have to have those intangibles. So as a coach and a recruiter, if you can have, check those boxes from a previous team that they've done that, it will definitely help you understand, and it will help the player understand, like, hey, we're going to stick by you. Freshman year might be rough, but remember when you did this when you're 16, you've been through this before. It's no different. Keep grinding, and every year we'll get better and better.
For sure. We recruited a kid at Cornell. His name was Matt Nuttall. And I only got to coach him for 1 year. I was part of recruiting him to Cornell. And then I only coached him for 1 year. You guys like his name, Nuttall? You guys are
such a child.
But anyway, like he came in and he did, like, he was a blue collar kid from Buffalo, came from a great family, like worked really hard, yes sir, no sir kind of kid. And he struggled his freshman year. And his biggest struggle was defensively. Like he can kind of see it. He had skill, but like he struggled on the defensive side of the puck, which at college hockey, you need to be able to play on both sides. Right. But he just worked, man. He's a worker. He's an absolute worker. And he went from his biggest deficiency, which didn't get him in the lineup all the time his freshman year. He won the ECAC best defensive defenseman his senior year. And that's a testament to the coaches. I think Benny and Schaaf are awesome developers of defensemen, but like his internal motivation to get better and not feeling sorry for himself when things didn't go his way his first year or two that he was there. Again, he leapfrogged so many people who might have been more talented than he was at the beginning. And man, it's just a testament. And it's such a good lesson for kids to learn that, like, hey, and especially a tryout season. And I told the coaches in our call today, like, two of the best things that ever happened to me were getting cut. You know, I got cut from a Pee Wee team when I was 12 years old. And I got cut from the Five Nations tournament team at U16 that went overseas, even though I was one of the leading scorers in camp. And the guy told me it was because I was too small. And so, like, at the end of the day, like, those were things that just fueled me and motivated me to get better. And with that, you know, it's all about just putting in the work and understanding that
working your nuddles off.
Working your nuddles off. There you go. I think you need to be the host of this podcast, Munce. I might be out of a job here pretty soon.
Well played.
But I mean, Munce, you had your fair share of adversity, right? Like you made it far in this game, man. Like you played in the AHL and you're a kid whose parents knew nothing about hockey. And just kind of fell in love with it and was in the right spot and worked your bag off. And I know junior hockey for you was tough. I know college hockey for you was tough. You know, when we were together in pro, like it wasn't easy all the time and you kind of worked through it. So like, if you had some advice for kids based on your own personal experience on that journey, what would you kind of say to these kids?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because we'll get into money too. And it's the same premise. Control what you can control. I mean, so often I look back and you just were worried about outside, you know, who your coach is, what line you're on, who your line mates are, who you're playing, like all of these little things that don't effing matter. Like because you don't control it. They might matter, but you can't do anything about it. So to put that mental energy into things that are outside of your control is a waste of time. You know, I went from, you know, AAA where we were all, you know, all top players because, you know, obviously playing USHL at 17 isn't easy. But then you go to the USHL and, you know, I was like healthy scratched and I think I had 8 points my first year. And I had to kind of switch my role from a skill guy to like a third line grinder, first in on the forecheck type thing. But if I want to get in lineup, that's what you had to do. And Coach Carlson was my coach. He's still the coach. It's like he's the one and only coach of Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. And I gave him a lot of credit. You know, he helped me grow up as a man and, you know, gave me time to battle through and grow. And then the next year I got a little better. And then by my third year, you know, I was a little older, more mature and had a really good season. So,
would you have 65 points?
60, not
60.
So,
gross, bro.
6,
gross.
You had 60 points in the USHL.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah, then people are going to look it up and they'll be like, why didn't he do anything after that? But yeah. But,
hey,
yeah, it's the same thing at Brown and you know, just battling through adversity and you know, when I was comfortable, when I had line mates I respected and had a good role, I took advantage of it. But, you know, I look back, I could have done so much more. It was a maturity thing. You know, I blaming others, get caught in the culture of the team or just, you know, really worried about things that were out of my purview anyways. So looking back, that's what I try to tell kids now is like, enjoy it and focus on what you can control. And that is very, very little.
I love that. Hey, so Munce, you had 8 points your first year of junior hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had 12 points my first year of junior hockey in 60 games. Vechs, you had how many?
3.
Okay, so for all the kids listening, particularly the kids that think junior hockey is going to be a cakewalk and it's just like, you know, a part of the process to to playing higher level hockey. So you have 3 guys that had pretty darn good careers. One had 8 points his first year of juniors. One had 3 points and one had 12. Right. So like I like if that doesn't like we try to be very honest with the information that is coming out of these podcasts. And like I'm telling all the time, Matt, like it's not good. It's not easy. It is an absolute grind, and you have to develop mental toughness. You have to develop a resilience muscle to be able to withstand the adversity that comes of trying to be great at anything really, but particularly what we're talking about in a hockey podcast and playing high levels of hockey. And it's just, man, it's funny how like literally every podcast comes to that. At some point we talk about resilience, and but in hockey, when we talk about hockey in life, like resilience is something, you want to be a successful person, you want to be a fulfilled, happy person, like that resilience muscle better be a huge part of what you're building every day too,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that out of Munce a lot too, because I don't remember when you came over to SEG and started training like with me and whoever the other hockey guys were there. And then T-Bowl came over, and then I kind of started training us all when we were in pro after a year or two. But I was training with Munce probably going into college or after your freshman year, I think is when you came over to SEG.
Yeah.
Because I think you had an unbelievable last year in the USHL. You lit it up. Back then, 60 points, like you were probably top 5, top 8.
Top 10, I think.
Top 10 for sure. Yeah.
Like there's I'm sure there's guys in that league now that are putting up like 90 or something crazy. It was way more defensive back then. But, I saw Munce didn't have as good of a freshman year, I don't think, as you wanted. I think then you came over to SEG and I saw you grind that summer. Was it in your sophomore year, your best year of college? Was it that one or was it your junior year?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was the first year I went over with you. I think I tried to do my freshman year, because I had a good year in the USHL, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to stay status quo and do the training that I did that time. But college is another level, and so I got absolutely smacked in the face. I thought I was doing enough, and I had a terrible freshman year. No one to blame but myself. It is what it is. You earn your opportunities. And then I came over to SEG and started training with you and Don and the boys, and it made a difference, and I always had fast starts too. So it's like, I was always prepared, and then just the lull of the season, it just, maybe that's where mental toughness comes in. It kind of faded away, and it's something I've been working on, every day since, that you don't really figure out to your parent. And then you're like, oh, this is what it means to never take a break. Okay. This is,
but for me, I saw you go through the ups and downs like all of us did in our career. And I look back at all of the years where you had the most production, and it was always like where you had your mindset was elite going into those years. Like, I think it was like you did everything in those summers going into your best years where you just laid it all on the line. You're like, I'm going to do everything I can. And you controlled the controllables. And looking back on the years where maybe you didn't get off to as good of a start, I think that, being honest, there probably was, we all did. When you were talking about that, I did so much of rocking chair, thinking about other things out of my control. Does coach like me? Am I going to even play tonight? Am I going to be a healthy scratch? Are there any colleges in the stands who are going to offer me a scholarship? Am I just grinding for no reason? Does anybody even notice me? All those things. And you go back to controlling the controllables. And I definitely, for all the listeners, when Munce controlled the controllables, he was absolutely elite. And I'm sure Toph was the same. And it's, guys, that thing that he said right there, that can't be understated. I think it's the most important mental gymnastics game you can do with yourself, is if you always just focus on the things you can control, and the things you can't, you just got to let them go and just control what you can control, Yeah.
And it's in everything. It's universal. But I say, it's funny, I have a 6 and a 3-year-old, and I tell them all the time, battle through adversity and control the controllables. And my wife's like, this is so annoying. You say this all the time, but I'm like, it's relevant. It is, I'm like, it is relevant, and no matter what you're doing, it's amazing. Whether, working with colleagues, in a car, work, try to be the best hockey player you can, in a gym, studying for a test, your personal money, anything. It's control what you can. There's going to be, and trust the process from things around it. That's it.
Well, it's interesting. It's the first question I had for you as we transition into kind of what you're doing now. And the first question I had was like, how have you used your hockey career to help you in being successful with what you do in the financial sector now? Again, we are a life skills / hockey podcast. And so what, controlling the controllables obviously is a big one, but what are some other life skills that you feel like you learned in hockey that you're using today to help you be successful in your new phase of life?
Yeah. Easy answer, dealing with rejection. And you're always dealing with failure, dealing with rejection. If you want anything in life, it's not going to be handed to you. It's going to take years. It's going to take absolute times where you're just getting punched in the gut every single day. And you just have to go through. You got to get better. You got to learn. You got to learn from experiences. And hockey gives you that, because in hockey, at a granular level, like a shift never goes perfectly. You have shifts that fail. You get scored on, or like you made a shitty play. You have periods that are terrible. You obviously have games that are terrible, and you fail as a player and as a team. No one goes 82-0. So everyone has to deal with loss and failure and setbacks. And the good thing about hockey is it gives you that every single day that you are a part of it. And that will be the biggest translator into the real world. Because, I took a job in finance, and I just kind of figured it out, and it wasn't just like nothing handed to me. I mean, my dad had a great life, but unfortunately, the guy didn't sell a company for $1 billion. So I had to go find my own clients and make my own life and my own brand and my own network and everything. And it's a lot of failure and just kind of recalibrating and figuring it out and moving forward, and just like, don't look back. Just look forward. And what's one of the podcasts early on where they said, like, a setback is a setup for something better. I mean, that is so true. And I know Vechs uses that one, and I'd say the biggest attribute, and I don't care if you're a physician, if you go into accounting, if you're a financial advisor, if you stay in hockey, if you go into business, it doesn't matter. Dealing with failure and rejection will be the biggest differentiator between you and the next guy.
Mic drop.
Yeah, man. I was listening to a podcast. I want to say it was like 3-4 weeks ago, and it's one of guys that Vechs likes. Maybe you like him too, Ed Milet. I just absolutely love what he does. And he had a guy on his podcast, and he was talking about every day you got to get your rejection in. He was like, you need to seek it out. You need to seek out your rejection, and because it comes every day. In different ways, maybe it's, your 3-year-old saying, no, I'm not wearing that to school today, Dad. Absolutely not. And I'm going to throw a tantrum right here and right now. Not doing it. That's rejection.
You're like, okay, good. That's enough. That's all I want for today. All right.
Yeah, that's my rejection for today. But like, you have to learn to deal with it like emotionally and physically, even, we wear emotion on our sleeves, and it can really manifest. And for me, a lot of my stress and rejection manifests physically, and I get all tight and shit with my body. But like, I just thought it was really cool when he said that. It was like, get your rejection in, like train yourself, and do something hard every day. Get outside the comfort zone every day, figure out a problem every day. And when you do that, you kind of build that, I don't want to call it like rejection muscle, but you build your resilience muscle from having to figure out those tough situations.
Yeah. I like make a list of, what I have to do every day in my job and life, whatever. And I always, pick 3 things that are outside my comfort zone, because it's easy hiding behind a screen and emailing and, like whatever you're doing, like researching, like, what are you researching? Like, these are the easy things, but going out there and like putting yourself out there, it's something you guys do. I mean, the fact that you guys have been 5 years on a podcast. I mean, I've only done 2 episodes, and it's like, whoa, this is, like, these guys do this every single day. Like, but it's just put yourself out there and being in the arena, and then not listening to the critics or the people outside. It's like, hey, everyone's going to have an opinion. You just do the right thing, be a good person, and work hard. Good things will happen. You don't know where, you don't know how, but the odds are in your favor.
What do you do, Vechs? Vechs, what do you do to get your rejection in? Like, what are some ways that you push yourself outside your comfort zone?
I mean, I like reach out to companies that I want to work with all the time. And it's, like you can get an inflated sense of self with social media when you're putting out, when you have a lot of followers and you put out, well, I think I put out value like every day. Like that's my goal is to like help people every day. And, when you have that many people, you'll have a bunch of people every day being like, thank you, thank you, thank you. So like you go to a company every now and then, you're like, hey, like I'd love to work with you, like blah, blah. And they're like, no. It's like, whoa, like I had the whole opposite all day. And it's like, oh, it's back to reality. And like, so, and I've been reaching out to companies and talking to people and trying to create strategic partnerships for my companies, for all of the athletes that work with me for, since I understood the value of partnerships and networking and things like that, which is probably really when I retired, probably was like 2018. I was like, oh man, like I got to start putting myself out there more and like, like offering my services for free, which I did all the time, hoping something would come from it. And there's a ton of times that nothing has come from it. Probably way more than has come from it. Like I'll take way less money to do things where my time is pretty valuable, and I'll take less money because they don't want to pay my initial rate because I've never spoke to them before or something. So then I'll be like, okay, I'll do it for free, and I'll come in and I'll prove the value that I will add. And Munce did that for my guys and has done that for my guys for the last couple of summers. He on his own accord was like, hey man, I want to help your guys. And he comes in every single summer. The first summer, I think he did like 3 separate seminars, if I remember correctly. Four separate seminars and he did 2 groups in the first year, I think, like an older group and a younger group too. Mm-hmm. Teaching them the basics about money. It was so cool. And like, he just put himself out there to do that, to help all the younger St. Louis hockey players. And when you say you're going to, like, you're working with guys who have millions of dollars, these kids, they don't understand that. You work with NHL players. These kids don't understand that. And you're like, hey, I'm going to come give like free talks. You would hope like as adults, we know how valuable those talks are. Like kids, you need to listen to this stuff. But like you run the risk of no kid showing up, and he did months worth of work sending me graphics that I had to pretend I knew what I was reading. And yes, this sounds good. Yes, the TPS reports and like,
hey, did you get that memo?
But he put himself out there, and every year more and more players come to this because they're like, dude, like there's kids telling me like, oh, I did this because Munce said it and I'm into this now. And for me, like, you just can't stop putting yourself out there.
Well, that's a great segue into some of the things that we want to talk about with Munce to provide some values for the kids that are listening right now. And, you're speaking from somebody who, when we were living together, Munce, and I was like, 23, 24 years old, still hadn't opened a credit card, like never built any credit. Just whatever money in the bank was
making $400 a week. So
that's, I mean, it's not like I had much, but paid for everything with either cash or a debit card, and didn't know the value of credit or anything like that until, fortunately, I married a very financially savvy wife. But why is it important for like younger kids to kind of understand financial literacy and have like kind of like a foundation of understanding of finances? Like, what have you seen in your talks with the kids in St. Louis? And you've worked with, players at the pro level too. Like, why is it important to have that foundation?
Yeah, because everything that we're talking about this has to do with personal finance. It's a life skill, like everything on this platform. It's a soft skill. It's not a science. So it's not one of the social sciences or, biology or anything like that. It's truly a skill, like public speaking is a skill, or parenting is a skill, or what I would like to say, like earning money is a skill. And that's a separate skill that requires networking and sales and management and, whatever your job entails. Personal finance is different, but equally important. I think it's most important to really go to the source and talk to kids that are, 16, maybe 18 to 25, 18 to 30. Because it's all about habits, and the habits that they have at age 18 will affect how they see money and the habits that they have at 50. And it's one of those skills that will compound, good or bad. So if you have bad skills, if you have, bad habits with money, and you're 50, you can still be really good at other skills like earning money. You can make, $800,000, but you can still, have trouble with a basic budget and keeping money in a bank and not going into credit card debt and things like that. So it's important to go to the source before they, kind of create their own opinion and really dial in their own habits on money, because it will compound both positively and negatively.
That's really interesting. So when you have the opportunity to speak with kids around that age who are just learning, like what are some of the things that you're seeing that they kind of understand? And what are some of the things that you're seeing that they are really struggling with?
Yeah, I think the problem, it's kind of funny because the first thing we talked about I'm in my office and it went completely black around me. So this is hilarious, but
no, you're good. We can see it.
Okay.
You can't even
All right.
tell.
So, it's funny when we first started this podcast and we talked about youth hockey and the difference of, silly season when we were kids versus now and it didn't exist. It's all about information, and then Toph, you said yourself, you're like, oh, I didn't know anything. I didn't do anything. Same with me. Vechs, same with you. We were never taught money. Their personal finance wasn't a thing. We didn't have social media that just put out content after content. So now these kids are just flooded with information. And what did I say earlier about youth hockey information? Information doesn't mean knowledge. It's the same concept. It's no different. So they're curious. I think social media and the fact that money is less of a stigma now is a net positive, because they're curious and they're asking questions and they want to invest. They want to do these things. I just feel they're misguided on the foundation, the core, where to start. And so they hear all this information and they don't know where it kind of plugs into the whole world of finance, because it's so broad. And so when you do that over time, you just get strategies that are overlapping or don't really make sense for a starting strategy. You get people that are trying to day trade and putting emotion into it. So that's what I kind of first try to do is just kind of talk about hey, let's build a basic foundation. Talk about, and this isn't stuff you really see on social media because it would be 4 posts and really boring, so it's social media draws the eyeballs to the interesting stuff and what Jeff Bezos did with his stock last year and what this billionaire did with his estate and all this stuff. But what I try to do is narrow it down to okay, let's start with a basic foundation. I love that you're interested in this stuff, and then we can see where these concepts might fit into you as a 25-year-old, just starting out.
I love that. So kind of with that, where should kids start? What's the starting point for kids that are coming up? And I know just from our conversations and some of the work that you're going to be doing with us in providing value to the kids that we talk to and that listen to our podcast and stuff through some of the short shifts that we'll do in the future. I know you have kind of 4 universal pillars that you kind of think about as it relates to finances. So where should kids start? What are these pillars, and for the 16-year-olds or 15-year-olds that have no idea about anything like me, where to start? What are those pillars?
Well, these pillars, whatever you want to call them, are important to me because all I do is think about okay, I'm 39 now. What do I wish I knew at 18? When it comes to money, where does all this stem from? Because everyone comes from a different generation, a different demographic. They make money. They make more money than the next guy. So everyone will have a different view about money. But what are the universal, if you're building a house, it doesn't matter if it's $1 million house or $300,000 house. What is the dirt and concrete? What is the foundation? So I try to really dumb it down on 4 things that can really be, if you grasp these 4 concepts and believe in them, you'll be light years ahead. And then let finance take you wherever life takes you. But if you have these, this foundation, I think you'll be way ahead. The first, it's boring, but it's cash. It's straight cash, homie. It's your cash management. It is understanding why consumer debt is bad. Why, if you have $2,000 in the bank and a credit card balance of, a credit card limit of $10,000, that doesn't mean you have $10,000. It means you have $2,000. So understanding where people go wrong just on basic, like having an emergency fund, knowing where your money's going. I don't think, I'm not a big granular guy. Like, I'm a pretty high level guy. You don't need a budget, like a spreadsheet. And some people do, and that helps them. But like, you don't need like a spreadsheet that you update every single day. Some people like that, but I don't find that useful. But you do need to have a concept of like money in and money out and what I should keep in a bank. So that's pillar one, is all about cash. Okay. Because unfortunately, that trips up a lot of people. And you need to, like, before you can talk about the other things and talk about, what Jeff Bezos did and how that relates to you, hey, buddy, you need to like maybe pay off your credit cards, So number one pillar that we'll talk about in one of the short shifts or however we do it will be cash management and some tips around that. Number two is then account types. I see that like outside of a bank, people are like, okay, I've heard of, a million different things. There's 401k, there's Roth IRA, there's traditional IRA, there's SEP IRA, there's an LLC, there's a brokerage account, there's this, there's that. Like, what are all these? Where do I start? Okay, so you got to have your cash figured out, and then you got to understand the accounts that make sense, that are most beneficial to put your money outside of a bank. Hint, we're going to talk a lot about a Roth in that one, because not Chris Roth, Vechs, our high school teammate, but a Roth, because they're very powerful, especially when you're young.
Big fans of the Roth IRAs in this household. Big fans.
Yeah. So you got your money right, and then you like your cash. Then you understand what accounts are out there and beneficial and usable to you. And then the third is a basic investing strategy. We haven't even talked about investing until the third one. Okay. And then only in the third one, we're going to talk about different asset classes, like why do people take risk and where do they put it? And what's the purpose of, what's real estate get me? What's the stock get me? What is an ETF? What is a mutual fund? All of these different concepts, and talk about a very basic, like, hey, if you just have $5,000, where should I start? Hey, I'm going to put in a Roth IRA and invest in what? And it's going to be a very simple core strategy, let time do its thing. So that's going to be the third pillar. And then the fourth is going to be behavioral finance, and talk about human nature on, why people go wrong and why the average investor fails and why they put emotion into it. And why really the answer is trusting the process and doing less. I always think of the scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Right?
I knew you were going to say that.
I love, because I want to like put that, like, just hold up a sign and just like put up Paul Rudd's character when he's like, no, you did too much, do less. No, you did it. Because Vechs, you talked about too with hockey, like people have this information, so they feel they got to do more. It's the same thing with money. They're being bombarded with information, and they're sitting there on, they're in a core strategy, and they're like, well, I'm just adding to this. What else is there? I got to do more. It's like complexity doesn't mean better. It doesn't mean better return. It just means more complex, and that's not always a good thing. So the fourth one will be doing less, controlling what you can, all these concepts, and basically being like going against human nature and getting out of your own way and letting the assets grow.
Love that. PPOP. Love that.
PPOP.
I'll give you a nickname. PPOP. We'll figure it out later.
Oh, I love it. That is a great movie, by the way. Undercover. That's one of those movies where when it's on, and like, not that many people have cable now, or, on Sunday when you're not doing anything, you just kind of flip through and then there's a movie. Like, there's some movies when you're flipping through and it's on, and that's the movie you're watching. You're not flipping anymore.
No.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of those movies.
No.
100%. I know all of our boys, Staz, if Beverly Hills Cop is on, I'm sure he's listening to this because Munce is on. If Beverly Hills Cop is on, that guy is definitely stopping and watching for a bit. We used to laugh at that one all day.
Yeah. We were just talking about
Foley.
Yeah. I talked to Paul today, and we were talking about Harry Potter. Saying that's hilarious. Like, we were talking about
diagonally.
When that comes on, we have to watch it. So
have to. Kylie's like, again, and I'm like, yeah, but it's Christmassy. She's like, it's July, and I'm like, yeah, well,
Christmassy. You're like, I repeat, it's Christmassy.
When does the Christmas tree? By the way, for our listeners, there is not one person in this world that likes Christmas. I'm not going to say likes Christmas, that loves Christmas more than our man Sean Muncy that we have on here right now. When does the Christmas tree go up in the Muncy household?
The lights go up in October and they go on when all the trick-or-treaters are done. So on October 31st, when like I get the kids down, and they're all sugared out, and then I turn the lights on, and then boom. So late October 31, all the way through New Year's, the lights are on. The tree goes up November 1. Christmas movies start immediately. I always start with Home Alone, of course, to get me in the mood. Then Home Alone 2, and then I go through like the shitty ones that I would only watch around Christmas because like I'm the only human in St. Louis that's into Christmas yet, so I don't want to get like too far ahead of myself. So I watch like the bad ones, like Christmas with the Cranks and all these other ones. And then when it hits like towards Thanksgiving, I amp it up and I do The Holiday, I do Love Actually, I do all the classics, all the hits, all the good ones.
Do you ever go Home Alone 3, or is that just not even a thing in your house?
Well, my daughter freaking loves it, so I have to.
Right. It's good for the little ones.
Yeah, she loves it. She thinks Alex is hilarious. The little the one in Home Alone 3.
Yeah, that's not Kevin.
Home Alone 3 is he's in school, so he's home from school, and Christmas is over. So it's like January 8th, which might be the worst date in the history of the year. I mean, early January. Like, oh my God, it's like miserable. And that's when Home Alone 3 takes place because everyone already had their presents. The kid is home from school, so obviously he's back in school. And I'm not a fan, but Callie is. So I got, and my daughter's name is Callister after Home Alone. So boom, roasted.
Boom. He wins.
Yeah.
I remember when you told me that was her name, and it was a mixture of like laughter and also just like complete warmth and being like, I love you so much, most of the time. That's just the best thing ever. Well, Munce, this was awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on. And for everybody that listens, you're going to be hearing more from Munce. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff with him. He's a part of our Hockey Think Tank community on Facebook. If you haven't signed up for that yet, go to community.thehockeythinktank.com. That's been awesome. Have over 140 people on there already. And we got a little Wellness Wednesday from Vechs coming tomorrow. And so he's going to be doing that. He's going to be doing some short shifts with us. He's going to be helping us out with our life skills workshops, with our organizational blueprint. And so with our organizational blueprint, with the clubs that we work with, we do a life skills workshop once a month with all the players in with the organizations that we have, and we're going to be starting that up here pretty soon. So Munce will be teaching some fun stuff in one of those, and so we'll be seeing a lot more of this, man. Vechs, what do you got?
Munce, if you had to close it out here, if you had one book to recommend to teenagers to start learning about finance and young players, please listen to this. One of the biggest regrets in my life is that I haven't read more. Like it's like wisdom is the most important thing, and wisdom happens as you get older, and people who are wise write books for younger dumb people. To some of them read and some of them don't. The sooner you get into reading, the faster you'll be more successful. So like Munce, what would be like a simple book for like a younger, teenager to maybe start learning about this stuff?
Yeah, I think for personal finance, the best book is called The Path by Peter Mallouk. And it's pretty recent. I think it was written in 2021. I think he wrote it during the pandemic. So it's like super timely. And it's truly personal finance. It talks about all the different categories and all the different asset classes, and just, it's really close to my day to day. And I think it will give people a good picture of what personal finance is. Cause I think people think money is like, you gotta like pick stocks and you gotta trade and you gotta know everything about this and that. And it's not, it's just like all of these concepts that we're talking about. And I think The Path by Peter Mallouk, that's Mallouck, and he's an advisor out in Kansas City, and he's a former estate planner and now a financial advisor. And it's a really, really good look into what I do and what personal finance, and it's really easy to read. So I would recommend that one.
Cool.
Love it, man.
Get it.
Well, now we're going to head over to our 10 questions. And so our 10 questions we do with all our guests, and these have been fire, man. These 10 questions have been absolute fire with the guests that we've had on. And so those are over in our Hockey Think Tank community. And so if you want to have some cool 10 questions, we're going to have a lot of fun with this one, I think. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this one.
Do it, baby.
Let's do it. So we're going to head over there. But Munce, thank you so much. And if you want to be a part of the Hockey Think Tank community, hear all these 10 questions and all this fun stuff that we have going on over there. Again, community.thehockeythinktank.com. We love you guys. Can't wait to hear from you. And have a great week. Here we go.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.